Hi, I'm Rob, and in this Gems of War video, we're going to take a look at the Soulforge and tell you what we think is good and bad in there. As well as that, we'll be taking a look at this weekly event troop, the Stalker. Anyway, a ham sandwich walks into a bar and orders a beer. Bartender says, "Sorry, we don't serve food here." Ha! Stalker, let's take a look at this. Wonder how it got its name. Eye on a stalk. Stalker, that'll do. Anyway, steals 6 mana from an enemy. That is a set in stone amount, not affected by your magic level. Then there's a 5% chance to devour them for each point of mana drained. Boost ratio is ×5. So on the maximum amount, that'd be a 30% chance to devour. That's actually pretty good. Some interesting traits too. Inflict death mark when doing skull damage is not bad. Poison enemies when doing skull damage, and immune to all status effects, devour, lycanthropy and mana burn. So not a bad troop list. You've got a double effect really of instant kill. One via death mark when doing skull damage, and another one when it casts its spell on the maximum amount. It'll have a 30% chance to devour. And it's a good troop because it's the kind of thing which is good for newer players. If you're a newer player or one that's been playing the game since day one, then it's not going to make any difference. It's like the same chance for a new player or a experienced one. So pretty decent. That I'm going to give that a... I mean, the steal mana is not that great. It's not very much. You can get that back with a single turn, but it kind of makes the enemy waste a turn at the same time to get that mana back for whatever troop you cast on, but giving yourself that devour chance at the same time. So I would give that a pretty good 6 out of 10. When that works, that is going to be a good, fun troop. Anyway, there he is. As ever, let's take it up to Mythic if you can. Always good to get these troops onto level 20. Affects your power levels of your kingdoms in the long run. And whilst you're here, we can grab some spoils of war if you have the excess glory. Always good. Bit more gold, more event keys, more souls, and joy of joy, even more treasure maps. You know you love them. Alright, let's jump into the Soulforge then and take a look at the weapons first. Not going over all these ones that are here all the time. They're in my Soulforge extra video. That'll be in the link in the description. Going over all of these. First up we have Cobra's Curse. Does magic based damage to an enemy, boosted by Naga allies. Then creates a mix of 6 red and green gems for each Naga ally. Now what's interesting about this weapon is it uses green and brown. Normally on these weapons that do this create a mix of 2 colours for each ally from that kingdom, it doesn't use the same colour, it uses opposite colours. But this one actually generates red and green, which means it can self-charge, which is unusual. It's one of the rare weapons like that, so pretty cool. Medusa Tome does damage to an enemy boosted by Mist of Scales allies. Then similarly creates a mix of 6 blue and red gems for each Mist of Scales ally. And you see, look, this uses green and yellow, it uses opposite colours. So for this one, you have to make sure you've got some other troops in your team which use blue and red, otherwise you'll be making all that mana for nothing. Dagger of Scales, the kind of anti-Mist of Scales weapon in a way, uses blue but removes all green. The point of that is, because it is removed with no effect, is green is the mana colour which Mist of Scales troops like the most. So by taking that colour away, you should be technically restricting their chances of getting the mana they need. Then deals damage to an enemy boosted by gems removed. If the enemy is from Mist of Scales, or if the battle is in Mist of Scales, deal double damage. So quite situational, but pretty handy in certain situations. Scale Guard Protector. Sounds like the sort of thing you put down your toilet. Anyway, explodes red gems, grant a random status effect to all Naga allies, then summons a Naga troop. So a summony explodey weapon, as I call them. Do like these, lots of mana gen. Got status effects, got a summon, pretty decent. I like these. Who's next? What's next? Medusa's Ring. Does true damage to an enemy boosted by stone blocks, then create 4 stone blocks. Not bad, interesting in the right team. Mirror Shield. Gains magic +1 armor and reflect. If I already have reflect, give reflect to all other allies. That's actually pretty good. Reflect fires back a percentage of the damage received back to the caster, which is pretty good. And the upgrades are cool too. So remember, you're already gaining some armor and reflect when you cast this, but it also has curing and shielding. Curing is cleanse itself, and shielding is get a barrier. So when you cast this, you cleanse yourself, you get a barrier, you gain armor, and reflect. Not bad. Doomed Loop. Give 2 magic to all allies, +1 per tempering level. Give magic +2 armor to green allies. If the enemy has a doom, gain 10 attack. So very situational to get the most out of all those things. And yeah, not that great, to be honest. Alright, let's take a look at the troops then. Start from the bottom and work our way up. The Colossus destroys a 5x5 circle, or as close to a circle as the game can manage, considering the shapes that we're dealing with here. Then gains magic +1 armor and life, boosted by all gargoyle gems destroyed. Does have a chance to create good gargoyle gems when its turn begins, which means it can boost up its spell somewhat, but it's just not that great a spell in the first place, unfortunately. Medusa does true damage to an enemy, boosted by stone blocks. Then convert 8 gems of one of their mana colours to stone blocks. So you get a lot of stone blocks everywhere pretty quickly with her. And curse and stun a random enemy when matching 4 or more gems. And she's also impervious. So not a bad troop when she's in the correct team. And how she's staying in that thing, I have no idea. Anyway, on to the next. Who do we have next? Who's next? Shade of Zorn. Shade of absolute rubbishness, more like it. How this is 24 mana cost, I still have no idea. Does damage to a single enemy, boosted by red allies and skulls. If the enemy dies, summon 2 Fists of Zorn. Yes, that actually really is it. And it's only a ×4 ratio as well. It's not even that great. And they have to die to get the summons. It's like, what? And even the traits are kind of rubbish. I mean, really rubbish. First of all, it's stealthy, which you think is useful. It cannot be targeted by spells. Then it's undying. Fair enough. But Zorn's Fury gain 4 mana when he takes damage. So to benefit from the best trait, or supposedly the bestest to get trait, you have to actually take damage. But you don't take damage till the last minute because you're stealthy. It's like, Zorn, you literally make no sense, mate. And who's last? Ketras the Bull. Does magic-based splash damage to an enemy, boosted by my attack, life, and armor. So if you keep your attack, life, and armor high, you will do a significant amount of splash damage. And of course, in the right team with these, they can get very angry with ferocities. And gain 2 attack, armor, and life when matching red gems. So yeah, wow, not the best bunch of mythics in the Soulforge this week, it has to be said. But let's go over the legendaries ever so quickly. Who's first? Queen Moonclaw creates 9 skulls, boosted by green allies and enemies, a 1-to-1 ratio, and summons a random null. Give 2 attack to green allies when an ally deals skull damage, is immune to mana burn, mana drain, and mana steal, and gain 1 life for each green ally. So not bad, and can be actually pretty devastating in the correct team. Druz the Undefeated, who's been defeated many times. Deals magic-based damage to an enemy, curse them, and inflict 2 to 4 stacks of bleed, which is true damage. Gain 8 mana when an enemy dies, means it can get charged up pretty quickly when you start knocking out the enemies. Not too bad. Glitterclaw. Really good troop. You don't see it that much, but it's actually one of those underrated troops, which is absolutely excellent. Does damage to a random enemy. Transform all blue to green to boost the effect, so you can do that and get some charge back at the same time, which is really good. And Fairy Fire all enemies. Fairy Fire, you give 50% extra damage to the enemy when they're Fairy Fired. So there's a really good way of boosting up the damage pretty easily just by casting Glitterclaw. And it's across the whole team. Fairy Fire all enemies, really cool. And it has Spark. Gain enchant when matching red gems. And gain 1 magic when an ally casts a spell. Very nifty, Glitterclaw. I like ya. Kruarg the Dread. Looks scary. I'm not sure about the spell. Does damage to the last 2 enemies, and if there are 13 or more red gems, summon a random daemon. The good thing about the doing damage to the last 2 enemies is it's good for targeting stealthy opponents, things like that. If they're at the back thinking they're being stealthy and being all, you can't see me. Kruarg the Dread can hit them by literally just hitting the last 2 enemies, so good for that. It does have a 5% chance to devour on skull damage as well as impervious, but nothing too spectacular. And now out of this bunch of slightly rubbish mythics. We have to pick a mythic of the week. Crikey. Someone's going to get an unexpected win this week. That's not going to be you, mate. You're actually not too bad. Zorn, you are absolute rubbish, mate. And Ketras the Bull. It's between Ketras the Bull and Medusa. But overall, I'm going to give it to Ketras the Bull. Because it can be very, very powerful in the correct team. Even though a lot of Frosties are usually better in a bunch. Hey-ho, whatever. But anyway, Ketras can be chucked in a team. And it can be boosted up to make that slightly low damage a little bit better. But yeah, nothing essential regarding Mythics this week. I'd kind of hold on to your diamonds, to be fair. Unless you're looking for a particular Mythic to advance a kingdom to the next level or something. You're effectively Mythic blocked on a kingdom, something like that. But there it is. There's the video. If you enjoyed it, why not bash that like and subscribe button. I'll be back later on with more videos. Today is Manic Monday. So much going on. It is crazy. But thanks for watching, and I'll catch you again next time. Bye for now.